a WikiVidi Documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Bullseye, Comics. Bullseye is a fictional character appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. A psychopathic assassin, Bullseye uses the opportunities afforded by his line of work to exercise his homicidal tendencies and to work out his own personal vendetta against Daredevil. Although he possesses no superpowers, Bullseye is able to use almost any object as a lethal projectile, be it weapons like shuriken and sai, or seemingly harmless objects like playing cards and pencils. His marksmanship is uncanny, at a nearly supernatural level, but he has been known to miss moving targets. The character has been adapted into various forms of media relating to Daredevil. He was portrayed by Colin Farrell in the 2003 film adaptation and Wilson Bethel in the Netflix television adaptation. Bullseye was 20th in IGN's list of the top 100 comic book villains of all time, and 35th in their list of the top 50 Avengers. Publication history. The character's first appearance is in Daredevil 31. Although created by writer Marv Wolfman and artist John Romita Sr., the book features art by Bob Brown and Klaus Janson. Bullseye's real name and origins are unknown. He has used the name Benjamin Poindexter on several occasions, but there are also instances where his name is given as Lester. The mini-series Bullseye, Greatest Hits developed the character's backstory, but also revealed that some or all of it has been fabricated, probably by Bullseye himself. In this series, Bullseye's name was Leonard. Following Civil War, Warren Ellis took over writing Thunderbolts and Bullseye became one of the core members of the new team lineup. In the Secret Invasion Aftermath storyline Dark Reign, Bullseye becomes a member of the Dark Avengers under the alias Hawkeye and features in a 5-issue limited series Dark Reign. Hawkeye, written by Andy Diggle, with art by Tom Rainey. As a member of the Dark Avengers, he has a major role in the crossover Dark Avengers/Uncanny X-Men, Utopia, written by Matt Fraction. He appeared as a regular character in Dark Avengers 16. Bullseye is killed by Daredevil in Shadowland, but is later confirmed alive in Daredevil Volume 3/6. Early life and backstory. Bullseye grew up in the Bronx, where he lived with his brother and their abusive father. His brother's main form of recreation was playing with rifles, leading him to become an expert shot. When he was 10 years old, his brother started a fire in their home in an unsuccessful attempt to kill their father. Shortly thereafter, Bullseye was placed in a foster home, and became a baseball player in high school. He was an extremely talented pitcher, and was offered a scholarship, but instead opted to enter the minor leagues. After 3 games, he was called up to play a sold-out Major League game. He had surrendered no hits the entire game, and in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs, he became bored and requested the coach pull him from the game. The coach refused, and insisted that he finish the game. The opposing team's batter mocked him, accusing him of cowardice. Bullseye threw the ball at his head, killing him. As the ball struck, he said only one word, "Bullseye." He was barred from professional baseball and convicted of manslaughter. This is a retcon of a previous origin story, which depicts Bullseye growing up as a below-average student in a trailer park with an alcoholic, physically abusive father. In this version of events, Bullseye fakes his father's suicide using a handgun set off by a toy arrow. None or all elements of this version may be true, since it describes his father as possibly recovering from a recent divorce, fitting in perfectly with Daredevil's taunts in their confrontation during the hardcore storyline. His cold demeanor and unique skills, however, meant subsequent recruitment by the National Security Agency as an assassin was inevitable, and he was soon assigned to train Contras in Nicaragua. By the time he arrived, however, he claimed to have already been planning to leave the NSA. He had planned on robbing the Contras blind and fleeing, but soon discovered they were desperately poor. Bullseye made the best of the situation. Within 7 hours of being informed of their poverty, he had led the Contras in seizing a landing strip that the Colombian cocaine smugglers were using as a staging area before moving on to the United States. Without use of the airfield, the smugglers were unable to send new shipments. Bullseye set up his hapless Nicaraguan translator Paolo as the leader of the new force controlling the airfield, and let the word spread around. However, Paolo was nothing but a patsy. Bullseye planned to invite several organized crime heads to the airfield to broker a new deal with him as Polo's supposed right-hand man. He would take their money and disappear, presumably leaving Paolo to suffer the wrath of the mafia, Russian mafia, Yakuza, and various other criminal elements. However, before the deal could be finalized, the Punisher arrived. Castle killed all the organized crime leaders in a fiery explosion from which Bullseye barely escaped. The two engaged in a fierce battle in which Bullseye was able to wound the Punisher and evade or disable several of his weapons. Bullseye then used some blood-reddened mud to paint a bullseye on his forehead, mocking Castle's inability to hit him. The fight concluded when Drug Enforcement Administration agents arrived, and the Punisher fled. Bullseye turned himself into the DEA agents and soon was assigned to infiltrate the Kingpin's criminal empire. He obtained a costume, fled yet again, and became one of the most dangerous hitmen in the world. All of the above information is given by Bullseye during a subsequent interrogation by U.S. intelligence. Just prior to escaping from custody, Bullseye confesses he made up some or all of his story to amuse himself. For example, he claims that he was really the one who started the fire which burned down his childhood home. The whole capture was a plan by the assassin to gain access to the prison where his father is being held. Bullseye finally gets revenge on his father, leaving him to burn as the prison's security systems torch everything inside. Costumed criminal career. Bullseye battles Daredevil at a circus in order to establish his reputation as an extortionist. Shortly after, Daredevil by chance overhears him in the midst of an extortion attempt and captures him. Bullseye is later hired by Maxwell Glenn to kill Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson, and Daredevil interferes. Although Bullseye wins again, Daredevil escapes death, and Bullseye's professional reputation is damaged as a result. Seeking to regain his credibility, he challenges Daredevil on live television, but is soundly defeated. Smarting from this even harsher blow to his reputation, Bullseye hires Eric Slaughter's gang and kidnaps the Black Widow to bait Daredevil into a revenge bout. Daredevil defeats him again, and the despair of this repeated humiliation drives him to a mental breakdown. It is later revealed that this breakdown was in part caused by a brain tumor, which begins causing migraines, paranoia, and hallucinations that everyone he meets is Daredevil. He escapes from prison, but is recaptured by Daredevil, and the tumor is successfully removed. The tumor's symptoms quickly disappear, and defense lawyers are able to have him freed on the argument that his criminal behavior was caused solely by the brain tumor. He is hired to assassinate the Kingpin, but meets with repeated failure. Inexplicably, this convinces the Kingpin to employ him as a chief assassin, but he is fired the same day he witnesses the Kingpin's humiliating defeat at Daredevil's hands. Bullseye's repeated failed attempts to regain this briefly held position became a running joke of the Daredevil series. While in prison, he learns that the Kingpin has employed Elektra, Daredevil's former lover, as a new chief assassin. After escaping prison, Bullseye attacks Elektra and impales her on her own sai. This fails to convince the Kingpin, says he'll only be rehired if he kills Daredevil. Bullseye attempts to ambush Daredevil, but their battle ends with his arch-foe dropping him from atop a telephone wire. The multi-story fall breaks Bullseye's back, paralyzing him. During Bullseye's extended hospital stay following the fall, Daredevil breaks into his hospital room and forces him to participate in a two-man variation on Russian roulette. The revolver used in the game is secretly unloaded, but Daredevil has Bullseye take the even-numbered turns so that he would feel sure that the last shot is going to kill him. Bullseye has repeatedly cited this incident as his greatest grudge against Daredevil. Japanese scientist Lord Darkwind liberates Bullseye and has him brought to Japan, lacing his bones with adamantium, and thus restoring his mobility. Lord Darkwind did this so that Bullseye would work as an assassin in return, but in spite of this favor being done for him, Bullseye refuses to work for free. He instead makes another play to regain the position of the Kingpin's chief assassin once again if he kills Daredevil, knowing he would fail. Bullseye is imprisoned for several years. Bullseye eventually escapes prison, and then battles Captain America. He battles Crossbones in an attempt to assassinate the Red Skull to regain his old position with the Kingpin. After encountering the amnesiac Daredevil, He takes advantage of this by impersonating Daredevil and committing robberies in an attempt to destroy his nemesis Image. In one of his early heists, he is caught by his Mark's disillusioned trophy wife. He becomes enamored of the wife who pleads with him to be taken away by him, but he keeps the wife in his derelict hideout as his lover, attempting to flatter by showering with stolen money and jewelry. However, the woman comes to realize that he is mentally weak and, frightened by one of his psychotic outbursts, leaves him. Gradually, Bullseye becomes so immersed in his Daredevil impersonation that he believes himself to truly be Daredevil, a confusion which the real hero takes advantage of in order to defeat him. Bullseye later has another run-in with the Punisher when he is part of Frank's frame-up scheme that ends with Bullseye getting both of his hands shot and losing a finger to the Punisher's brutality. Bullseye encounters Deadpool and Gambit during another long interval in which the character was seldom used. Bullseye is hired by the villain Mysterio to attack and confuse Daredevil. In the course of their battle, Bullseye kills Karen Page, Daredevil's longtime love interest, with one of Daredevil's own billy clubs. Bullseye is recruited to steal the identity disc, purported to be in possession of AIM, and have vital information on the world's superheroes, along with Deadpool, Sabretooth, Vulture, and Juggernaut. Bullseye offers to kill Daredevil for Kingpin, later entering Daredevil's apartment and attempting to kill his old enemy's new girlfriend Mila Donovan. Enraged and already near the breaking point, Daredevil attacks Bullseye and throws him out the window. During the fight, the hero reveals to Bullseye that he knows that his real name is Lester, his mother was a prostitute, and that he never knew his father. He mocks the assassin's new Bullseye tattoo and carves a new one over it with a rock. Bullseye seeks purported documents confirming Daredevil's secret identity. After a brutal fight with Daredevil and Elektra, Bullseye flees into open traffic where he is hit by a truck, sustaining severe injuries. Thunderbolts. Bullseye, along with many other villains, is recruited into the new Thunderbolts by Iron Man and Mr. Fantastic to hunt down anti-registration superheroes in the Civil War storyline. Afterwards, he is recruited by Norman Osborn into the Reform team led by Moonstone. He operates invisibly and is not seen by the public. He is used as a last resort and has a nano-chain fed into his system, so if he disobeys orders, he will receive an electrical shock. Bullseye fights American Eagle after having been deceived by Songbird and told that his nano-chain is disabled. During the fight, he simultaneously receives an electrical shock from the nano-chain in his system on order of Moonstone and is attacked by American Eagle. American Eagle beats him severely, mocking him throughout for purposely avoiding fights with superpowered foes, and finally breaks Bullseye's neck. As a result of the damage sustained from both being attacked by a man with superhuman strength and being shocked by the nano-chain, Bullseye is paralyzed, is unable to speak, and has incurred severe brain injuries. Bullseye is later shown walking due to nanomechanical surgery, then goes on a killing spree using scalpels to get some target practice in. Later, he joins the Thunderbolts in their efforts to assassinate Moon Knight. Bullseye was with the Thunderbolts when they fought the Skrulls in Washington, D.C. He took advantage of the resurrected Andrea von Strucker being distracted by Moonstone to kill Andrea, and nearly killed Moonstone in the process. Bullseye travels along with the other Thunderbolts to Central Park and joins the final battle against the main Skrull force. Obtaining a missile launcher from the Zeus, he fires a rocket through the Skrull Yellow Jacket's right eye, thus disabling the Skrull from engaging with other heroes. Osborn orders Bullseye to kill Songbird, finally giving Bullseye the chance for revenge. Bullseye nearly succeeds, but is incapacitated by the swordsman helping Songbird escape. Dark Avengers. As a reward for his role during the Skrull invasion, Bullseye is placed on the Dark Avengers and given the costume and codename of Hawkeye. Osborn hires Bullseye to eliminate Deadpool, from whom Norman stole data about how to kill a Skrull Queen, but Bullseye is unsuccessful. On the Dark Avengers' first mission, he kills Morgana Le Fay only for the woman to return yet again with an army of demons. When the Dark Avengers fight a rogue Hulkbuster robot, Hawkeye disables the robot after killing its pilot. When the robot falls and killing 36 civilians, Osborn reprimands Bullseye for his part in the deaths, to which Bullseye demands credit for his kills. Hawkeye then goes out and saves a woman from being attacked by 3 men. He kills the men, and the woman inadvertently infuriates him by referring to Osborn as his boss. After he kills the woman, he notices a news crew in a helicopter filming the action. He silences the news crew by blowing the helicopter up. Bullseye is used to take out his old partner Deadpool. Deadpool eventually gains the upper hand and stabs Bullseye through the chest with a meat hook, who later wakes up in a hospital and goes after Deadpool again. Deadpool easily avoids Bullseye's attacks, then runs Bullseye down, stopping with one of the vehicle's tires on Bullseye's leg. Bullseye pays off Deadpool to save himself. Elektra stabs Bullseye with his own arrow. Bullseye is later given the order by Osborn to eliminate Daredevil, who has been discovered leading the hand. Daredevil and Bullseye clash. Bullseye booby traps a building with 100 people in it. Daredevil continues to battle Bullseye, unaware that the building is rigged and that Bullseye has the detonator. When the building explodes, Bullseye escapes and leaves Daredevil to his grief, mocking that if Daredevil had chosen to kill him, the people in the building might have been saved. Molecular Man turns Bullseye into a pool of water to subdue him. However, as a liquid he still tries to attack Molecular Man. He is restored by the Sentry. He is also part of the team when they go to Manhattan to look for Nova. The Sentry finds him first, but is distracted and leaves the battle later to find Nova gone. Osborn later assigns Bullseye with the duty to kill Lindy Reynolds, Sentry's wife. He takes Lindy for a helicopter ride, and strangles and dumps Lindy's body in the ocean. When the Sentry questions him about Lindy's whereabouts, Bullseye claims Lindy committed suicide over the countryside by jumping out of the copter, and the Sentry flies off to find Lindy. Shadowland. In the aftermath of Siege, Bullseye is incarcerated and sent to the Raft. But in the process of being transferred there, he manages to kill his captors and escapes. He makes his way back to Hell's Kitchen and arrives at Shadowland, Daredevil's fortress, and is confronted by Daredevil and a legion of hand ninjas. Bullseye is unprepared for his enemy's newfound ruthlessness as Daredevil dislocates both his shoulders and then stabs him through the heart with his own sai, in much the same way Bullseye had killed Elektra years before. Later, a group of Hell's bikers put together an unauthorized funeral service for Bullseye. Ben Urich is dragged along, as well as Danny Diva. However, Diva continually sees visions of Bullseye. It is not clear whether or not it is Bullseye's spirit or simply part of Diva's psychosis. Bullseye's funeral service is interrupted by Daredevil and the Hand, and a massive brawl breaks out, almost killing Urich. Daredevil later exhumes Bullseye's corpse, intending to resurrect him as a soldier loyal to the Hand. The heroes interrupt the ceremony, preventing Bullseye's resurrection. Return. It was later revealed that Bullseye was still barely alive as his body disappeared after the battle, but he has become an invalid due to his injuries, who has to rely on a metal lung in order to survive. To get revenge, he is revealed to be the mastermind behind Claw, Coyote, and Ikari's actions against Daredevil. He is later found by the hero who defeated Ikari and Lady Bullseye. The warehouse where they were is subsequently destroyed, and Bullseye is nearly drowned in radioactive waste, leaving him scarred and blind. During the Secret Wars storyline, Bullseye is among the villains attending the Kingpin's viewing party of the incursion between Earth 616 and Earth 1610. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?